Hello everyone, Tim Kiefer, MIBT online. So a few years back we did these, we call them open mic segments, and they were geared during the COVID times to try to get people thinking officiating and talking to officials from around the world. And I decided to bring it back. And it's not, some of the officials we talked to during the COVID time, some of them were big time NFL officials or Major League Baseball umpires or whatever. But we also talked to a lot of officials just who officiate. And it's important for me that we connect and we learn more about why we do this crazy thing. Because not all of us are going to make $1,000,000 doing it. Some of us barely make any money doing it. So it's kind of one of those, labors of love, they call it. So I wanted to start this back up. And the first person who I thought we could bring in to do this is a guy I've known for a little while. He's from the Chicago area. Jim Kettleson, and Jim's got some cool things that he's got going on as well that we want to share at the end of this, because I think you're going to find it pretty unique in regards to technology and officiating. So, but Jim, thanks for being here. I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
No problem, Tim. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to having our conversation this morning.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So, you've been officiating for a while. Actually, how long? Tell us a little bit about your officiating. How long have you been officiating?
It's been about 15 years, Tim, since I finished mowing my lawn and I walked down to the local bar to have a beer, and I met three umpires, and we started talking. And the next thing you know, 15 years later, I've been officiating high school, and then I got into college about 7 years ago.
And do you just what sports? You just do football, or you do other sports too, or?
Well, I started doing football, of course, is my love. So I always do football, and now I'm only doing football. But I actually started doing basketball and baseball. But with the work-life balance, it was really tough on me. So I had to kind of narrow it down to just one sport, and it's my first love, and it's football. So I focus on football. But lucky enough, there's opportunities with flag and other things to keep it active and engaged all year round here in the Chicagoland area.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's football. That's kind of my thing. I mean, I officiated three, four sports. I did softball, baseball, basketball, and I actually started with baseball. So it's just kind of interesting. And speaking of getting started, you shared a little bit about seeing some umpires in a bar, but what were some of the things that you did? Like, okay, you talked to those guys, then how did you actually take those steps to now, I got to buy the striped shirt and do this? What were some of the steps you took to get started?
It was a great experience. So the first thing I did was join an organization. They introduced me to an organization. And that association really, I went to the meetings and I found out about what state sponsors programs were available, and really just how you got into the program and how you actually became an official. And then, Tim, I was crazy, man. I read every book. I looked everything up online. If there was a training that was online, I took it. And I met some great people in officiating. And when I met those great people, I found out that I just wanted to ask them questions, and I would email them, I would call them, and if I'd see them, we would just talk football. Um, they actually showed me what to buy. They showed me everything. They got me into doing some kiddie ball games and then working some underclassmen games. Um, but it was really the associations that gave me the camaraderie aspect of it, which I think is the reason I do it. Not only for the kids in the game, but really just the camaraderie of the whole thing. But then secondly, they really prepare me to go out in the field. I mean, I think of all you're doing online and all the online available tools to it. I think there's just so many resources that you can really be prepared before you hit the field.
Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Make it so that way people stay doing this great avocation, and they get the training so that when they walk out, they're not brand new. When they're brand new, they have an idea, because I think sometimes we do lose officials that way. So you've been doing it for 15 years. What are some of the best things about officiating? I mean, you talked a little bit about camaraderie and the fans. Yeah, some of my best friends are officials, as I'm sure some of yours are as well. But what are some of the other great things about doing this?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, it keeps you motivated to stay in shape for me. I have I like the fact that I have to like have a goal every year to make sure that I'm at a certain weight and I'm active and I'm engaged um, and I'm in weight and in shape and looking good. But then the second thing that really is a benefit for me is just having something to look forward to. Oftentimes in this life, especially, like there's everything is online and there's a bunch of interactions that happen, but very few are like just your kind of like happy place. And the football field for me was always my happy place. And just getting back on it and being in that happy place, it's really why I do it, right? I mean, it's really why you do it. You mentioned it. If you're getting into this to make a ton of money, there's a whole lot better ways to make a ton of money. In my day job, I work with data, and there's so
Yeah.
many opportunities to really make a ton of money. But in all those things that I pursue from a career aspect, there's nothing that gives me as much joy as being out on the field with my friends on a Friday night doing a game, and then getting up the next morning and driving to some college and meeting up with my other group of friends and doing a game, and then coming back and telling stories and then you know putting in the penalties on Sunday morning, and then Monday we're all on a conference call talking about the game, and then we're back at it next Friday.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Now, obviously, officiating, why are we having so many problems getting officials? Because it's challenging and it has its ups and downs, let's say. Sometimes it can be, it can create its own issues. So, what are some of the things in officiating that maybe weren't the best, but things that you've been able to overcome?
Well, I would say there's kind of three things. First and foremost, um, as with anything in life, there's ego, right? And dealing with my own ego first to say, what am I really doing this for? And, whether I'm dealing with one of my crewmates as a leader or a coach or um, really, really evaluating my own ego going into it, but then also dealing with other people's egos, because there are so many great people in this advocation. There are so many great people, but then there's also people with some pretty good size egos, and dealing with them might not always be easy, whether it be a coach, but especially in other officials. Managing those egos, I think, is something that we could kind of really work on as a group of officials. And the second thing I would say is that just a mentality among officials that sometimes I would say is a little bit not as welcoming as we can be. I think about my like second year of officiating, and how much I thought I knew about the rules and I thought I knew about the game, but I really didn't. And the guys that I worked with were fair, but they were encouraging. Oftentimes, I see nowadays that people aren't really willing to invest the time in those younger officials, especially in years 2 and 3. And if you don't get in with a good group of people and you don't have a good mentor, I think a lot of officials who would be great officials just decide not to do it anymore.
Well, okay. I mean, that's some really good comments and some observations. So, if you were talking to a brand new official or somebody who's thinking about doing this, what is some advice you might give them to say to start out? What are things that they should do so that way maybe they don't run into some of those pitfalls?
So first and foremost, and I give this to everybody, right? There's kind of like the Kettleson big three that we always that I talk about, right? First and foremost, no matter what you do as a young official on the field, always be a good dead ball officiating. A dead ball officiating is something that each person on the crew can do, and it just takes focus. So it's dead ball officiating, dead ball officiating, dead ball officiating. Off the field, I know we want to learn the rules. I know people want to learn the rules, but I am telling you, I firmly believe in like the three-legged stool. And the second leg of the stool has always been mechanics. Know where you're supposed to be on the field as an official, especially after your first year where you don't really, you don't really know all the rules, and you don't might not There's so many times where just being in the right position will save you, even if your judgment isn't always the best on the play, even if you may call a foul that's not there or miss a foul that's there. If you're in the right position and you're looking at the right things, it's a lot easier for you as a young official. And then the third thing I always say is comportment. Handle yourself like a professional. Um, Even if you don't know everything about football officiating, if you look good and you hold yourself well on the field, and you're not, doing those like lazy things that I see sometimes, man, Tim, I think that's the recipe for success if you're a young official.
No, I think that's great advice, things that we could all learn from. So I appreciate that insight. Now, because you're, like you said, a data guy, and you also are an official, and with technology going the way that it is, with AI becoming more and more prominent in everything that we do, not just officiating, I mean everything that we do, you had the fortitude, insight to maybe take this technology and see how it could be channeled specifically for officiating. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this system that you created and have come up with that is going to be available for to officials?
Yeah, well, thanks, Tim. So I am in data. I've been working with machine learning for the last 12, 15 years. And I know a lot of people are hearing a lot about artificial intelligence and machine learning. And there's a lot of things out there about the goods and the bads of it. But I'm telling you, everybody on this that listens to this, man, there are so many positive things that officials can take from it. So the first thing that I really did was I created a model that simply ingests the rules, whether it be the high school rule book, the college rule book, or the NFL rule book. And I've created a model to predict what the answer is going to be. So you can just go to my website and you can just copy and paste the answer, or just type the question in, and it'll give you the answer. It'll use the rules no matter what rule book you want, if it's high school, pro, or college. And by just copying and pasting, inserting the question that you have in there, or typing in the question that you have in there, it will allow you. It'll give you the answer, and it's amazingly accurate. Because it's constantly learning from all of its answers, whether it's right or wrong. It's constantly learning the rules of football and getting better and better. So that's our first real thing. And obviously, we have a couple of other things, or I'm thinking about a couple of other things, predominantly for the younger official. What the model works no matter if you type a question in, copy and paste, or ask it something. So what we're trying to develop is, and almost, hopefully, knock on wood, we're right there, is a way that when you're on the field, you can actually ask it a question, and it'll give you the answer. For example, if you're on the field as a new official and you get an illegal man downfield and you don't know, you can just simply ask the model, hey, Dave, what's the penalty for a legal man downfield? And the Dave system will respond and give you the answer. Now, this does take some change, and all technology is change. I'm really hoping that we as officials can move away from using walkie-talkies on the field and start using our cell phones. Gamers use sites like Discord all the time. I know a lot of us have kids. My kids use it when they're playing with their friends. It can be used the same way, and you can inject the machine learning model, the Dave systems, right there. So when you're on the field in the heat of the battle, if you guys do have a question, you can just ask the Dave system, and Dave will give you the answer.
So it's interesting you're saying Dave. So we've named it. It's got a name, huh? Why don't you tell us what that means exactly?
I did it. It's actually said the Dave stands for Digital Artificial Video Evaluation. Because right now, where technology is, Tim, we can do a ton of things with machine learning in the model, in the text environment, in the speech environment. But really, it hasn't really grabbed the video environment. It does pretty well with still frames, but the video environment is really where the Dave system is really going to blow up, and artificial intelligence is going to help us on the football field. Because once it can start to ingest video, it can learn the rules to any game. And it can help us by simply identifying when there is a foul and when there's not a foul. And in my mind, we'll have something on our hip, like our phone. It'll be a vibrate system. And when you see a play, you're processing the play. Well, Dave will also be processing the play. And when you get that hold, like you and Bill Lamagna always talk about, and you're thinking to yourself, is that a hold? That's a hold. That's a hold. And you go to the third time. If you feel that buzz from the system, you can throw your flag with confidence.
So that would, you talked about being, having the ability to adapt to new technology, new equipment, things that we're not used to carrying with us. That would require probably some sort of camera that you'd have to, like glasses or something, kind of like stuff out of James Bond or stuff like that you'd see. But I guess that's the future, and you're seeing it at other levels like Major League Baseball using, wanting to bring in the electronic strike zone and whatnot. So I guess it's just a matter of time before it comes to football, and you're just trying to stay ahead of the curve, right?
Well, you sometimes have to be a little bit visionary, but yes, and they can use not only camera like a camera that you have on you, but the camera of the feed of the game. And as more and more of these high schools and colleges and even grade schools start carrying these games on YouTube and they do a live feed, there's no reason why the Dave system can't, or any machine learning model can't pick up that feed and to start to evaluate play by play in real time. The technology is there right now to be able to do that. The speeds of the internets are at a fine pace. Really, the only limitation right now is the model itself can't pick up the different pixels of the video. So it is so cool. But Tim, I mean, that is a couple of years away. But right now, let's say you're a crew chief and you're looking for a topic. There's no reason why you shouldn't be using artificial intelligence to help you build different things for your crew. For example, you can use the Dave model, and that's fine, or you can use any other of the now more common OpenAI models, and just ask it, hey, can you give me a breakdown of the targeting rule? Can you help me do a 3-minute presentation I can give to my crew for, let's say, illegal hands to the face, or any kind of rule that you have, any kind of questions. Because machine learning can generate so much stuff so quickly. And of course, you might have to edit it a little bit, right? You might see the script that it produces, and you might have to take a few things out of it. Tim, I am so excited about how machine learning and artificial intelligence can help us officials become better officials.
It's interesting because to that point, I have found myself using AI in that example that you gave, like not necessarily using exactly what it says, but to get me started, throw up some ideas, and then it gets me started down the right direction, so then I can put a presentation together that I've put together, but it's kind of pointing me in the right direction. So even if even if you're not going to use it 100%, it is a good tool in that regard. So I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, use the tool. I mean, the technology is there. I mean, the game of football has definitely evolved. We have gone to a replay system. We have replay now at pretty much every level in some instances. I mean, even in high school and stuff. So the technology is there. Might as well use it. So I think that's absolutely a great point. So why don't you give us the particulars? Where can people go and find the Dave system and start checking it out?
Sure. If you go to www.davesystems.inc, Dave Systems Inc., you'll see it right there. I do pay a small fee every time somebody asks a question. So I charge $10 a year. You get the first 2 months free, and you can cancel at any time during that first 2 months. But I'm basically just trying to get this tool out there in front of it and not lose money, as you say, Tim. So we don't make the most money off this advocation. But Dave Systems Inc. Is the website, and you can even look me up, Jim Kettleson. You'll also see that that'll take you there as well. It is a lot of fun right now, Tim, and I'm glad you're using AI to self-generate that.
Well, Jim, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your efforts in trying to make the officiating community better. There's not, I think we all want to be better, but for people to take the initiative like yourself, who are able to go out there and spend some time, and probably some of you a little bit of your own money, but spend some time to get this. It's really more about the time to do it and think it and have the idea, so that way we can all be better. I appreciate you doing that. So thank you from the officiating community for giving this an opportunity to at least see where it goes. And I wish you nothing but success, because it does sound like it could be a real cool tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, Tim, for letting me share my story. I really do appreciate it. And, my officiating career was really based off of the wonderful people I meet. So, and you being one of them, thank you for everything you've done for my career. And I would like to also say, if there's anybody who has any questions, I'm not a Big Ten official. I don't plan to be a Big Ten official, but I am what they would call a meat and potatoes official. I'll probably be doing this until I'm 70. So please send me an email. I'll be happy to help you in any way I can.
So we thank Jim for being with us, and we'll be back with some more open mic sessions. So you want to be sure to check us out here at mibtonline.com. Good night.